GreyZone Warfare has a problem. And it's not a problem that is easy to solve, and it's a problem lots of games like it. Uh, it's a problem lots of games like it face. Ever since the Winds of War update, GreyZone Warfare's population has only declined. And this is not unique to GreyZone Warfare. It happens to games akin to Escape from Tarkov. It happens to live service games akin to Marvel Rivals, Fortnite, whatever. It happens to all of them. A major update drops. People come back to the game, they play it for a bit, and then they get bored. So they stop. It is normal that this happens. Some people will stick with the game for a bit. You know, you have your hardcore players who love the game. Some people hop in and out. Some people hop in, play for a few hours, and then leave again. And then go back to whatever. GreyZone Warfare has this problem, I think, exponentially, because it is a niche game in an already niche genre. Escape from Tarkov back in 2018, 2019 blew up, and it was unprecedented. Streamers started playing it, people saw it, people bought the game and kind of got addicted to it, right? Honestly, I think it's easier to sell someone on the idea of Escape from Tarkov than GreyZone. Escape from Tarkov, load up, you go into a raid, if you die, you lose it, you get out, and you're good. GreyZone Warfare takes that to the umpteenth degree and puts it into a fully open world setting with no loading times, no wait queues. Honestly, I think GreyZone Warfare is more punishing than Escape from Tarkov at times. And because of that, it is substantially harder for new players to get into the game, or for people who are into the game to stay after a very hard time of just dying. It's kind of got a bit of an identity crisis, to be honest. Winds of War definitely helped it with the COPs, the outposts, and everything, and to try to get more PvP action going on. But it is a hard game to sell to people. You know, all it takes is one shot to kill you, and then you're back at base for 20 to 30 minutes. Escape from Tarkov, yeah, it takes one shot to kill you, but within 5 minutes I'm loaded up and I'm ready to play again, or I could just do a scav run. It's a little more forgiving. I think ultimately GreyZone Warfare is a game that has huge potential and huge promise. But just like Escape from Tarkov, it has the problem of updates aren't consistent enough to bring people back a lot. If you take a game like Fortnite, that game gets updates, like, and I mean like somewhat major updates, probably what, every month maybe? That is a lot of content, and for people who are deep into Fortnite, that's a lot of new stuff to experience. But for people who just play Fortnite once in a while, that means whenever they come back, there might be something new to experience. With a game like GreyZone Warfare, if you take a break for a couple months and then come back to the game, you could literally be experiencing the same exact game you played back then with nothing new to do, especially if you have done every quest and explored every area of the game, which I know it's tough to say because I'm not a game dev. I don't work in those kind of conditions, obviously. It's tough for me to just say the developers need to release more content, because shit takes a while. I have done my own, I have dabbled, I did like a 10-day game jam. Stuff takes a while, and stuff that you don't expect to break just because you added one thing or changed one line of code just breaks, right? Most gamers don't understand that. I'm pretty sure most people do, but, you know, a lot of them also don't. A lot of them just want their content. And at the end of the day, if you're not adding more content into a game, that is being advertised as an MMO FPS slash extraction style shooter, if you aren't adding more stuff and it's all just same old, you're gonna bleed players. And Escape from Tarkov has this same problem too. Every game like this has the problem. And I'm not the kind of guy who's gonna be able to know what the solution is, right? Like, they do have a good roadmap. So if you're someone who is invested in this game, you kind of know what you're gonna get down the line. But the problem is, if you're not getting it at a fast pace, then you're just not gonna play the game. There are players out there, there are gamers who, if the game isn't like constantly, and I mean constantly, drip-fed content, then they're gonna assume the game maybe isn't that worth playing. There are people out there who just crave having stuff dropped on them constantly. And a game like GreyZone, where the content is going to be spread out for the next 2 to 3 years, like the major content releases, they may see that as not being worth playing. I, of course, I don't share that opinion, and I'm like 90% sure the majority of GreyZone Warfare's player base doesn't share that opinion either, right? But the general gaming audience has been so Ooh, okay. That hurt. Uh, the general gaming audience in the year 2025 has been so conditioned to having constant content and a constant dopamine fuel pumped into their brains that a game with, number one, a slower gameplay style, and number two, a slower feed of content, it's going to do something to their brain where they maybe don't feel like it's as rewarding or they're having as much fun. And I'm not even, shit talking. I'm speaking from experience of stuff I've seen people saying about not just GreyZone, but games like Tarkov or even like Arma or something. Like, these kind of games are a niche within a niche. It's a tactical, more realistic shooter, and then you go and make it an extraction style game where you could just lose all your gear. It's not like Arma where you die, you reload up, you go back to the base and try to take it back. Everything you have available to you can get taken away quite easily. And it makes it a lot harder for the casual audience to join in. And I'm not saying they should make it more casual, something like Arena Breakout. Because that game, I do enjoy it, and it is fun. But it is very clearly more casual and a little pay-to-win, to be honest. Granted, it is a free-to-play game made by, I think, a Chinese company. That kind of stuff is expected. But a pay-to-play game like GreyZone that has no plans on adding pay-to-win type stuff, I'm sure they're going to add cosmetic DLCs. We'll see down the road how that goes. But something like GreyZone, its monetization is you buy the game and from there you play the game. You don't give them any more money after that. You don't need to buy stash enhancements. You don't need to pay for timers. Maybe they'll add DLC down the line, or maybe they'll add cosmetics that you need to pay for that just look cool or something like that, right? But other than that, its monetization is just you buy the game, you play the game. It's a tricky slope for a live service game. In my opinion, something like Helldivers 2 kind of has it. It's a buy-to-play game that has these battle pass style war bonds, right? And you can buy them for what, 10, 15 bucks? So you can start earning the stuff in them. Or if you just grind out a little of the currency by playing missions, which is what I do, you can pay, quote, pay for it by playing the game. And that's honestly a good way to incentivize more people to play the game. I'm not saying GreyZone should add something like that, because that does, in a way, either paywall or, I guess you could say, time investment while getting new gear and stuff. That can't happen in an extraction shooter. But they could maybe do something with cosmetics. I guess the point of this video that it's just kind of a talking video. I'm just shooting my thoughts out, right? Something I've been wanting to do. I think GreyZone is in an interesting spot. It just had this major update that kind of revitalized it a little bit. But now the player base is kind of seceding back. And to really get the kind of success they need, to be able to either A, push these updates faster, or B, help keep the player base healthy, I'm spitballing ideas that I'm sure no one from Madfinger Games will hear, but I think it is a concern where you're losing players 2 months after a major update that was meant to revitalize the game, and we're seeing similar play accounts to what it was before the update. I think the 1.0 release of Tarkov is only going to exacerbate these issues unless they do something major that makes the game, I guess, more lasting. Because you look at stuff like World of Warcraft or RuneScape, people will play these games for hours and hours on end. Mainly because there's so much you can do in it. RuneScape, World of Warcraft, to a lesser extent, Escape from Tarkov, has so much stuff you can do, where GreyZone Warfare just kind of seems you can quest around, and once you finish questing, all you can really do is PvP. Which, you know, Escape from Tarkov has that issue also. But Escape from Tarkov is a game that does have an end point for your character. It's an RPG, right? GreyZone Warfare is meant to be an open world experience, kind of akin to PlanetSide. So, I'll be honest, I think GreyZone Warfare needs to lean into the MMO side of their game more than they currently are. Maybe take a few lessons from PlanetSide and go from there. I think trying to incentivize squad-based gameplay, it will really make this game thrive. Because as it currently stands, number one, it is difficult to find randoms to play the game with. I try to, but oftentimes I'm too lazy, and I just say, screw it, I'm gonna go play solo, and do kind of what I'm doing right here, as I'm just shooting my thoughts out in this video, right? But I think if they did something more akin to PlanetSide, where it's very easy to get into a group if you want to, it is a one-button press, I think maybe the game would be better off. Being able to launch the game, make a loadout, and then instantly join a, let's say, an unlocked squad. You know, you can have private and public squads. You join a public squad, and then you can, you see where they are on the map, and you ride over to them to start doing missions or doing PvP. I think something like that could help the squad-based gameplay that they are really trying to go for. I think they're trying to be less Tarkov in terms of you just kind of load in, run around, do your thing, and you can play with people. And I feel like they are trying to incentivize playing with others. But as it currently stands, it helps, but it's really hard to get into a joined group with players. And I think they need to find a system that obviously works for them in their vision to incentivize a squad-based, I guess you could say, motive for people to play. Or just to make it easier for people to find play groups. I think that's one of the major things that is holding this game back. If it was easier to join up with other players and play squads, I feel like maybe the player base would be a little more alive. Because then having a good time with randoms or friends makes it a lot easier to invest time into a game. Straight up. Assuming it's not a single player game, of course. But being someone like me who mainly plays solo, because I don't have friends who play the game, and it's hard to find randoms to play the game with, it makes it harder to stick around, at least in my honest opinion. But those are just my thoughts kind of on GreyZone's current state. And if you guys play GreyZone and you kind of have the same feelings I do, where the player base is bleeding and it just feels like it could die at any moment because they don't have the funding to keep it up. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Or if you're someone who has played GreyZone or hasn't played GreyZone and just hasn't played in a long time, let me know why in the comments. Do you share my feelings of it's a game where you don't think the time investment is worth it because that there is basically no end game content? Or is it something else? Is it too hardcore? Is there not a lot of people to play with? Let me know, because this is a game I I truly believe in. I think it could go places, but I think we need to give feedback to Madfinger on what we would like to see. Personally, I would like to see a better system for making and joining squads. I think that would really make the game, number one, feel quite different than Tarkov, and number two, truly feel like it fits into the MMO style of kind of what they said they're trying to do with this game. But let me guys know what your thoughts are on GreyZone Warfare in the comments below. This is a game I think has a bright future if done correctly. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next one.